morning. So, I guess we're doing a quick Q&A. You guys asked some questions on our Instagram account. So we'll knock those out real quick. I'm Hill. If you haven't seen my videos before, haven't met me yet, I make coffee vlogs, some gym content, overall lifestyle stuff with my fiance, John. He's currently at work, so he can't be here for this video, but we'll be filming some more content probably later this week. So the first question, probably the most common question, how did we meet? We met online. I want to say I messaged him on like a Monday. I didn't really have any clear intentions. He was just a very attractive guy, and I wanted to see who he was. So messaged him online. We exchanged Snapchat and phone numbers, and we talked for a couple days. And I want to say we went to like Wednesday, still talking every night. And I had invited him to come over and kind of Netflix and chill, I guess. He agreed to it, but he wanted to meet up somewhere in public first to, I guess, make sure I wasn't a serial killer. So we ended up going to our local Target. I parked on the very end of the parking lot because a week prior to that, my car at the time, it was a 2016 Jeep Renegade, was rear-ended by a box truck on the interstate. So it was essentially totaled, but I was still driving it because I only had liability insurance on it. So I didn't want him to think I was poor when he saw my fucked up car. So parked on the very opposite end of the parking lot, wouldn't let him see it. Walked into the Target where he was waiting for me in the front entrance. It was really, really awkward. We like shook hands, and the entire situation was very odd looking at it, after the fact. But we walked around Target for a while. We talked quite a bit, bought a bag of coffee. I guess that was enough for him to see that I was okay to be around. So yeah, we parted ways after that, continued to talk, and our date was still on for that movie Friday. At the time, I wasn't a scrub, but I was definitely living like one. I was 27. I lived with my friend from the Marine Corps. We had an apartment together in downtown Knoxville. And I was living the dream. I made like $80K a year. I had no bills, no car payment. I paid like $900 a month in rent. But we definitely lived like we had no money. Our refrigerator hadn't worked for like a year. So we get to Friday, and I'm just now realizing, I invited this guy over to come and watch the movie with me, but I don't have a TV in my room. I did not consider that. So I had work that Friday morning. It was just like court or something, so it wasn't a full shift. I went to court, still in my cruiser. I stop at a Walmart. I buy a TV stand, and I buy a 58-inch 4K TV, which somehow I shoved them both in the back of the cruiser. And if you've ever been in the back of a cruiser, hopefully you haven't, there's not a lot of space back there. So we end up wedging it in there, myself and one of the Walmart employees. I get it back home, and within an hour, I put together both the stand and set up the TV for him for John to come over. And we watched some stupid horror movie. Like, I was on a horror movie kick for a while, and I don't even remember what it was called. We didn't do much watching of it, but yeah, that was essentially our first date, and we have been together every day, absent some work travel since then. That was about 2 years ago. So yeah, that is our initial meeting. When do you plan to get married? So I just proposed in France early December. So the plan is to probably have a fall wedding, a fall of 25 wedding, as long as we can get things situated and our scheduling together. But I don't plan on having a super long engagement. Neither one of us do. So likely fall of 25. What has been your favorite trip together so far? Okay. We've had a lot of great trips. In the last 2 years, we have traveled a lot of places, a lot of cities. So I'll say Hawaii because it was our first big trip together. Right before we met, I had scheduled this trip with one of my best friends and his wife to go to Hawaii for a week. And then, of course, John and I met and fell in love with him. So I booked his ticket to come with me. So I want to say we met in the end of January, and the trip was booked for April. So I booked this trip for him to come with me. We had a fantastic time. We spent, I want to say, 3 or 4 days in Maui, and then the remainder of the trip in Honolulu. And just because, you know, it was our first really big trip together, our first time getting to experience a long-term travel and vacation together. So super memorable. We had a really great time. What's the hardest part about being together? I wouldn't say there's anything hard about being together. Our relationship is very easy. There's not really anything to complain about. Our schedules with work can be a bit complicated, especially on my end. My work schedule is chaotic at best. And I'm also a full-time student. So both of us work full-time jobs and are full-time students. I'm working on my second undergrad. And John is currently a grad student in a pretty intensive engineering program. So he gets to work a hybrid work system where he works at the office a couple days a week, and then he gets to work remote the other days because he has classes those days as well. All of my schooling is remote, but again, my work schedule is very chaotic. So I think we mitigate that the most by, again, taking a lot of trips. We take a lot of vacations. His vacation schedule is fairly flexible. And beforehand, mine was not, because I was working patrol. I'm a police officer. But now I'm on a specialized unit where I'm essentially able to take vacation whenever I want. So we've been definitely taking advantage of that here recently. All right, so last question, which is very similar to the one we just answered. It says, you guys seem to have very full schedules. As someone who works 12 to 16-hour days and is looking for a husband, how do you find the time to date? I'm really struggling with the balance. Okay. Again, it's very similar to the question I just answered. I work 12-hour shifts at minimum. That's not including overtime. I'm on call 24/7. And I'm in school. So the schooling thing is a little bit easier for me because I work in 8-week terms year round. So I get assigned my assignments on a Monday, and they are due the Sunday that week at 12 a.m. or 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I have a lot of flexibility as far as the schoolwork is concerned. I'm also able to do a lot of school while I'm at work when I'm not actively working any calls or any investigations. Beyond that, it's just a matter of what we find important. So for us, time together is important. So that's one of the main priorities. Beyond that, the gym and fitness is very important for me, not only for my mental health, but for my longevity on the job. Obviously, I'm in a very physical career field. So again, that's another priority. And I'd say third to that in the list for both of us is our financial freedom. So we've both been very blessed to have lucrative careers. He works in engineering full time. He's a chemical engineer by trade. Obviously I work in law enforcement full time. And we've been very successful in our careers thus far. So being that, financial stress is a big deal breaker in a lot of relationships, and we're able to rule that out for the most part in ours, because we don't have to stress about, having the bills paid or anything like that. Everything's essentially taken care of. But yeah, it's just a matter of finding time for what is important and carving out that time when you need to. Take vacations. Make date nights out of nothing. Just the normal things that people may consider mundane can be a great time, can be a huge relationship builder. So that's what we tend to do. And I'm no relationship expert. This is my first and only real relationship, so to speak. But yeah, I think that's all we've got. One day I'll do a Q&A with John when we're home at the same time. He'll actually be home in probably an hour, and I am off today, so I'll get to see him fairly shortly. But yeah, thanks for watching.